Hello, hello. This is Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach, and you are watching or listening to an episode of the Rebound Coach Live. I am so glad you're here today. We are on a special time because there's special things happening. And so we picked a different time of day today. So we're not normally at our 9:30 slot. If you're watching the replay, put in the comments that you're watching with the replay. Let me know what stood out to you, what helped you, what reminded you of something important. Um, Today is a good day, and I actually want to celebrate with you. And so today's topic is called the other side of trauma. And y'all, we talk about trauma quite a bit in today's day and age. It is popular fodder, popular, topic of conversation, and it should be. There's not, enough attention in history. There hasn't been enough attention drawn to what happens to people when we go through things. Everyone goes through things. Everyone has a story. But so often, those scars and wounds go ignored, and we just kind of keep going in our life and never pay attention to the wounds. And unfortunately, if we don't pay attention to them, they still exist and they still hurt us, and they show up in all sorts of ways and keep us from reaching the potential that we long for. And so today we're talking about the other side of trauma. If it is your first time here and you have never shared virtual space with me, thank you so much for being here today. I'm Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach, and we're having this conversation because of my own story of trauma. And here's the headline, y'all. I was married 10 years to a man who wanted me dead and almost had his chance to try. That didn't make sense for somebody like me, someone who had, two parents. I didn't come from a single parent home. I didn't come from a home of divorce. I had two parents that loved God. They loved each other. They were married for a lifetime, actually. My father was my mother's caretaker. And so I learned what it was to give self-sacrificial love, enduring love, and beautiful. They were a beautiful example of love and marriage and how that can go well. At the same time, I was molested from the time I was 8 to the time I was 16. And that radically affects how you see yourself, how you see God in a household of faith, and for me, how I related to men. Fast forward, when I met the man that I eventually married and divorced much later, there were definitely red flags. There were definitely reasons why we shouldn't be together. However, I'm a praying woman. I was then, I am now. And I believed God's answer was yes. And because of that, I believed that whatever trouble would come, we would overcome it. We'd outlast it. God would make a way and things would change and things would be good if I just kept going. And the trouble came right away, y'all. There was no honeymoon period where things looked good and then no. Trouble came right away and never quite left. We got into a cycle of what I call coping and crisis. It's where you're never quite happy, right? It's never quite peaceful. You've just gotten into this way of coping with each other. You're tiptoeing, you're walking on eggshells, you're watching your words, you've learned how to arrange yourself and your life and your mannerisms, trying to avoid his triggers, right? So we were doing that coping thing for a while. And then no matter how careful you are, every so often there's this big crisis. There's a big blow up. There's a big fight. There's a mental health breakdown, all of this. And you're below the bottom and you're having to go into crisis mode and go into survival mode and kind of get yourself back up to this place of coping again. And I can remember very specifically saying to God when all of this was going on and coming to that realization that we were in that coping and crisis. And I said, God, I don't know what it's going to take. We were in the crisis again, and it seemed like the worst crisis we'd ever walked through. And I said, I don't know what this is going to take or what this means, but I don't want to go back to coping. Like I don't want to go back to barely making it. God, somehow, some way, make this change. And that was one of the several defining moments around what happened in my life. And so through a dramatic, dramatic series of events, I am here alive and speaking with you. And the way I describe it is, I could allow that identity that, oh, I didn't tell you this part. So, um, so he, in the middle of that particular crisis that I just told you about, he left for another woman. And I found out like a day or two later, he and that woman had been plotting my murder for months by the time I found out. If you can imagine, like, everything comes to a crashing halt. If you're watching a movie, you ever hear the record scratch noise, like hold up, something just happened, this is serious. And you're threatened as a human being, as a mom, as a wife, as a woman, as a child of God. And even as a coach, I had been coaching for like 5 or 6 years by the time all of this happened. And in particular, I was coaching faith-based marriages. So, and I'm laughing about it now, but it was definitely no laughing matter. If you can imagine building your entire identity around a particular idea, building your entire identity around covenant, and that the covenant of marriage is a once in a lifetime thing. And if you're in it, you should stay in it no matter what happens. And I'm going to help you do that. Like, that was my entire platform. So if you can imagine that very thing, and we were very public about it. And I say we, me and my ex-husband was very public about it. The stance that we had on marriage. So if you can imagine that, that being the very thing that's kind of crumbling all around your feet. And, it's like a pregnancy. There's no way you can hide it forever. So again, I'm laughing now, but it was quite a crisis time for me. And so ultimately, I could allow the identity that my ex-husband had for me, and quite frankly, the one I had agreed to, and maybe even advertised that I would be okay with certain things to him. And then, once we were married, I suddenly wasn't okay with those things. And, that's wrong on my part. I could allow that identity to tell me who I was, what I was allowed to have, how many days I had left on the planet, how I was allowed to express my faith, just all sorts of things. Or I could choose life. So I wrote a book out of all of that. And the name of the book is I Choose Life. Can you see it? Is it going to adjust? Woo! I have a light on here, so it has to adjust. Okay. I Choose Life. Rewrite your love story and change your legacy. And this is not just about your romantic love story, but the story of how you learned to love and how you learned to be loved. That's what this is. And it has blessed many, many people. If you would like your copy of I Choose Life, you can go to thereboundcoach.com/book. That is thereboundcoach.com/book. You can get a physical copy, one of these. I will sign it for you and send it to you with a little love note. Or you can get one from Amazon and they will ship it to you. Or you can get an ebook also. But this is where it happens, thereboundcoach.com/book. Okay, so today we're talking about the other side of trauma. The book came out in April of 2021, so almost 2 years ago now. It's when the book came out, and everything happened in my life. Those events I just shared with you happened between the end of 2019, the beginning of 2020. And so it had been about a year when the book came out. And I recently happened on a post I made when the book was coming out with a portion of the book where I was describing a conversation that happened. I told you my ex-husband was a serial adulterer. So that means there wasn't just one woman, there were many. Most of it was emotional infidelity, but there was other kinds of infidelity as well. And this one in particular person he was getting himself involved with, this was worse. Like I said, I'd been married 10 years, almost 10 years by the time everything happened. And so I kind of knew his pattern. I had done all the things that betrayed wives do. You become a detective, you get really angry, you get really depressed, you fly off the handle, you decide you're going to take it, like all the things, all the options that people do, I've done. And this person in particular, it was just different. It was different. And so so I described in the post, and I write in detail in the book, how this person called me twice. Uh, and it was so weird. The first time it was so weird. I just got off like, chick, leave my family alone. Go away. You don't know what you're talking about. Get out of here. That didn't work. And so she had called again, and on the phone, and she's like, I'm not, she called over and over and over. I wasn't going to pick up, but she kept calling. And so I picked up and I was like, can I help you? And she's like, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to judge you, but you need to tell me what I need to know, because you're going to die soon and I'm your replacement. So you tell me what I need to know. It's like, click. I just hung up. Okay. I didn't engage anymore, but the words were still in the air, and it shook me. It literally shook me. And I was sitting there, like, my heart was pounding. The hairs on your arm and the back of your neck stand up. You're like, I can't believe this. Like I can't believe this is my life. This is what's happening right now. There was a person on the phone trying to tell me I was going to die and she's going to be my husband's next wife. And like, what? Like, it's crazy even recounting that and saying that out loud. Like, are you kidding me? So yeah, I didn't engage anymore, but that sat with me. And I just remember being so like, I can't believe this is my life. I can't believe this is my life. And God walked me through all that. And that's, there's many crisis moments in my story. There's many trauma moments in my story, but that's just one of them. And I happened upon that recount recently, like this week, this week, a couple days ago. And I can't believe it. Like, these are things that happen in movies. And that was my real life. And to look at where I was then and where I am now, are there still challenges in my life today? Yes. Are there still things to grow through and overcome and unlearn? Yes. Are there still big things to deal with? Yes. But my God, I am nowhere near the place I was at that time. The hopelessness I felt, the muddle and survivor mode that I just lived in, the depression and the suicidality that I had. We're nowhere close to that. We're nowhere close. And I was just thanking God. For where I am today. And if I talk about it more, I'm going to cry, because I can't believe how far we've come. How far we've come. And I just wanted to encourage you that, number one, there is another side of trauma, and you're already on your way there, no matter where you find yourself today. And I have a couple of little points. Guys, if you've ever made a vision board, if you're watching this on the replay, and you've made a vision board before, let me know in the comments. If you've ever made a vision board, I made one some time ago. And back when I was married, I taught my children to make one, and they made some, and my ex-husband threw them away. Part of emotional abuse and spiritual abuse is just this attack on who you are at every level. And that was another example of that. He found a religious reason to tell us we couldn't dream. Right? Like, that's essentially what it is. The vision boards are your dreams and your visions for your life. And he basically told us God's not okay with that. You're not allowed to dream. It's whatever God told me, that's the future. So I had one, and I made an electronic one, and I had done. When you're in a situation like that, you find all sorts of ways to still exist. And for me, I made an electronic one that he couldn't tear down or find. And one of the things on it says upcoming trip to Israel. And that was many years ago. I had done that. I got married in 2010. So somewhere between 2010 and 2019 is when that happened. And it's 2023 today. Y'all, I leave for Israel in a few days. Like, in real life. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. So I hope you're celebrating with me. But know that dreams come true. Not by accident. Not by accident. Not by accident. But they do. And so I wanna encourage you. And there's a few other things. And there was maybe a couple months where I could count God fulfilling dreams I had, and not always like the big career type dreams or business type dreams, not just those, but little things like, oh man, I always want to go. One day I want to go into that building and have a reason to be there and be doing something important. Y'all, I've been in the building like 6 or 7 or 8 times. Like little things like that. And I would ask God, like, I didn't ask you for those things. They're little things. Like, why are you fulfilling those? And the Holy Spirit whispered back to me, I want you to dream a new dream. And so I encourage you with the same words. Dream a new dream. There's so much that God can do and God is doing already for you. So I promise 3. There's 3. I'm going to give you 3 tips, 3 strategies, 3 steps for getting to the other side of trauma. Okay. So number 1, define what the other side looks like. Now, I know that you've been disappointed before. I know you've been disappointed often. And I know that it's scary to ask for anything else because you might be disappointed again. Yes, that's true. I can't take that from you. That's the truth. However, nothing changes if nothing changes. And you don't know you've gotten there unless you've made some definitions. Like I just gave you that little teeny tiny example. In my town, I used to drive by, these pretty office buildings. And I was looking, imagine, people who have important business go in that building and conduct important business. And I would say to myself, man, one day I want to be dressed up real cute and have something to do in there that's important. And the day came, right? So that thought, every time I drive by there, I think of that. One day I want to go in there, have something important to do and look really cute. And imagining those things is what brought that to manifestation. It's a partnership with God. It's a faith partnership with God. And so number 1 is to define what the other side looks like. You can be as big or as small as you need to. So it can be as small as I want to walk inside a door of this particular building and have something important to do. Or it can be as big as, I want to have this kind of marriage. I want to have this kind of money. I want to have this kind of family. I want to have this kind of body. Whatever it is, use your mind and partner with God in faith. Okay. Number 2, to get into the other side of trauma is to just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Get my Dory song on. Just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. Okay. What does that mean? It means exactly what it says. Put one foot in front of the other and keep stepping. Keep stepping. That's what makes you get down the road. There's no other way. If you stop and you get frustrated or upset, or you stop and you get depressed, or you stop and do whatever, pull the covers over your head and never get out of bed, you can't progress. So I'm not saying there are days for rest. There are days for like chilling. And even in that can't, self-care is a step in the right direction. So just keep going. Okay. We're always moving. We can move toward our goal or away from our goal, but we're not standing still. We can move towards wholeness and healing, or we can move away from it, but we're not standing still. So lack of a decision is a decision. Lack of action is action. It's just not in the direction of the goals and the stuff you say you want. So keep going. Keep going, keep going. Sometimes you can run, sometimes you can jump, sometimes you can walk, sometimes you can jog, sometimes you can crawl, sometimes you can slither on the floor. Just keep moving forward. Okay, so step 1, define what the other side of trauma looks like for you. Number 2, just keep going, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. And step number 3, and you might not believe me, but I'm going to say it anyway, realize that you're already there. What do you mean, Dallas? You know what all this stuff happened to me? Do you understand what happened in my past? You know what happened to me when I was a child? You know what that man did to me? I might know or I might not, but check it out. You're already on the other side. How do I know that? We're having this conversation today. That tells me you're on the other side already. I was already on the other side, even though I had just found out my then husband's plot against my life. I was already on the other side because it was a plot that I learned about because I was alive to learn it. Right? And the steps to take were in front of me. I had to decide to take them, but they were in front of me, and the support I needed was around me. I had to decide to engage it, but it was already in place. And I would argue the same for you, that the steps you need are already in front of you. You have to decide to take them. The support you need is already around you. You have to decide to engage it. So realize you're already there. You may not be where you want to be. I know many of you have heard this before. You might not be where you want to be, but you're not where you used to be. Celebrate that. Celebrate it. Even if you've tried to lose weight over and over and over and over, and you haven't lost weight, but your habits are improving. Your habits are improving. That means you're not where you used to be. That's worth celebrating. And as long as you keep going, keep moving forward, fast, slow, very, very slow, doesn't matter. Keep moving. Okay? So I just shared with you that the steps are often in front of you, and you have to decide to take them. And so I want to share a step with you that you can take. In just over a month, I am hosting an event called Sanctuary Experience. It's a 3-day VIP retreat in Clearwater Beach. It's amazing. And I'm going to share a video with you, a recap of one of the events from last year. And I'm going to share with you a testimony of what someone shared about her experience at the Sanctuary Experience. So check this out, and I'm coming right back.
פניו עליך ויהונך. יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך shalom. May the Lord bless you and keep you.
Okay, so to get your sanctuary experience, your next step is going to the reboundcoach.com/sanctuary. That is the reboundcoach.com/sanctuary to learn more, or you can inbox me and I'm happy to share with you about it as well. I'm going to share one last thing with you because documentation beats conversation. You're like, yeah, that looks nice, but like, what do people actually get out of an experience like that? I'm going to show you. This is Elisa's testimony of her experience at Sanctuary. So give me just a sec and I will share that with you. Lisa, and so sorry. I know. Don't you still feel it, don't you? Like I still feel the presence of God on it every time. Every time. All right, y'all have to actually come up and share with my phone. Yes.
So, for me, sanctuary experience was just an incredibly beautiful, and like she was talking about intentionality, like intentional time to really just get alone with the Lord and to rest and receive from Him. I feel like as women, we give and we give and we give and we give so much that it's hard sometimes to just sit and say, I want all you have for me. Don't leave me out. That was actually my theme for that weekend. I'm like, don't forget about me. Don't leave me out. Me too. Because I was there to serve, but how I was also ministered to even during the serving and seeing how these women were there and they were just able to just let everything go and just be in the moment and receive everything that God had for them, receive everything that God was speaking over them, receive everything that God was seeing of them, and it was just an incredible time. So for me, I have been having a hard time, like really just starting to walk in my calling, and doing simple things like this, speaking to people, because that's one of the things God called me to do. And it was like, that was my first release to be able to start sharing about some of my journey. And so after Sanctuary, I was able to record my first video and post it for people to see. So, and didn't rehearse it, didn't script it, like was just like, we're gonna do this, and didn't watch it before I posted it. So I was like, nothing's gonna stop it. You know, so that was a freedom that I was able to start walking in. So.
Thank you. I'm so proud of her. I am so proud of her. So if you want results like Elisa got and you want to begin to walk in your purpose and continue to have freedom in your life, if you want to accelerate getting on and staying on the other side of trauma, your next step is going to thereboundcoach.com/sanctuary. That is thereboundcoach.com/sanctuary. It is waiting for you. And so am I. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Again, if you're watching this replay, I know it's a special time we were here today. So if you are catching the replay, like where was she at 9:30? Please let me know in the comments that you are here and what you've gotten out of this. You already are on the other side of trauma. We can do this together. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, choose life.